Happy solstice. Here we are. It's summertime. And I love summer. Um, I love the heat. I love the humidity. I love all of it. Actually, it took some convincing up from Ariel, my partner, to put an air conditioner into our cottage because I don't mind being hot. But I'm glad I listened to him, and we do have some cooling in our house now. But it took a few years. So I'm totally here for it, and I love it. And what has been going on for me in the past few weeks, kind of leading up to the solstice and this height of light, is like energy has been ramping up and activities have been ramping up. There's a lot to do. This is a very busy season for markets and my work and putting my offerings out into the world. So that is increased the amount of time to spend on that. And then there's more social things to do, more friends to visit. It's external. Summer is a very external time. And so the activities increase, things just kind of heighten. And I was like, wow, everything kind of feels a little bit overwhelming. And I was like, oh, it's almost the solstice, right? Like it makes sense that you can kind of feel this energy increase in the air. And what I've been doing my best to remember what to do is to just slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. And trust in what will get done, and just trust in the divine timing and surrender to it all and just like slow down. This has been like the big theme for me because I have been kind of working back and forth with this, like a little bit of overwhelm, a little bit of anxiety. And so I've been trying to remind myself to slow down. And I want to share with you some energy practices that have been helping me, and some that I'm still hoping to implement. So, energetically, how to work with the season. And it's not just like today on the solstice, right? It's like throughout these next coming months. This energy kind of lingers in the air with this, again, this external season that summer is. And then I'll share with you some of the plants that want to work with you at this time that are specifically here to support you during the summer season. And then some of the Cosmic Mother offerings that can help support you too. So, energetically, this whole idea of slowing down, ways that I have been kind of leaning into that is really remembering my morning routine and not just jumping right into the day. Um, I would say I do this maybe 90% of the time. There are some days when my brain just starts going and I'm like right at it and right to work, right onto the to do list. Um, but most of the time, I take my time entering the day. And in an ideal world, when I have the space and capacity, my morning routine could be an hour and a half, 2 hours, like depending on what's going on. I do not do that 90% of the time, but a half an hour, 20 minutes even, just at least one of the practices in my morning routine. Again, just to kind of set the stage for the day, because they say that whatever you do first thing when you wake up, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. And I have definitely found this to be true because the days that I get right on my phone in the morning, it just feels a little bit off and a little bit more hectic than I would like. So, highly, highly, highly recommend not getting on the phone first thing in the morning. So, some examples of what I include in my morning routine are just some other ideas of ways that you can kind of work with this energy. And you can do these any time of the day. It's just nice, again, to start your day with something intentional and mindful. And so I love to do morning pages. This is a practice. I think a lot of people are familiar with this practice now. It's from a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which is such a good book. But the idea is that you just write 3 pages, free write, automatic writing, whatever wants to come out, first thing in the morning, which has like a tremendous amount of benefit that I won't get into, but it's a great way to kind of start the day for me. And then I like to end my morning pages with 5 gratitudes. So, gratitude is another way to kind of be in the moment, stay present, kind of work with the energy of like what's happening around you, right? And being aware and present with what is happening. I find that doing gratitudes is like when gratitude practice was first introduced to me by a friend at work when I used to work at JP Morgan. She said, let's text each other 3 gratitudes every day for 15 days. I was like, okay, but that sounds kind of corny, but okay, fine, I'll do it. And it was so beautiful and I loved it. And I've shared it since then with so many people. So I do write them now in my morning pages, but it is a really fun practice to try with anyone in your life that you just kind of text 3 things anytime during the day that you're grateful for. I feel like that's like a nice way to bring that practice in and to like help foster a relationship too. Let's see what else. You can also, another way to kind of like slow down, right? This is the idea, slowing down, being more present. I feel like yesterday was so hot and I went to a yin yoga class that my friend was teaching. And that balance of a cooling, close to the earth, close to the ground, barely any standing poses, that kind of juxtaposition to the heat outside was just so beautiful for my body. So I feel like yin yoga is a great thing to practice in the height of the summer. Also, I love to do Qi Gong. There's tons of videos online. I can actually include in the newsletter my favorite person that I love to do her Qi Gong videos. I have another teacher that I follow online, but it's part of a school. But I would love to share a YouTube person that I have shared with a number of different people. She has very like easy, quick, longer or shorter, but you can do like 15 minutes, 5 minutes even, and just kind of moving the energy and circulating the energy in your body that way is really supportive. And then, there's always meditation and breathing. I feel like I tend to lean towards more breathing practices and guided energy work or my own energy work. But really sitting in silent meditation with your breath is a great way to work with your nervous system and to kind of strengthen the capacity of your nervous system. Because that's like what a lot of these things are helping us do as well. So let me just take a step back. And as the light has been increasing, right, there's more available for us to hold and more expansion available for us. And in order to hold more, your nervous system needs to be available to hold more. Because if you just try to bring in more with your current state, this is where you kind of blow out and get overwhelmed and anxious, right? So this is, again, like what I have been working with a lot lately. So you want to increase your capacity to hold more light, really, right? And to hold more so you can kind of do more and be more in the flow. So all of these things that I'm sharing are different practices that will kind of help increase that capacity of your nervous system. So there's a number of different breathwork exercises and meditation. Like I was saying, meditation is like when you can sit in silence, as difficult as it is, like this is where the growth is. This is where the benefit is. When you get uncomfortable and you get fidgety and you want to move and you want to be like, oh, meditation is not for me, kind of just staying with the breath and moving through that little discomfort, right? And kind of like maybe 1 minute more, 1 minute more, 1 minute more, you'll kind of see this is a very safe way to kind of work with that energy and expand that discomfort, right? Like as you sit with the discomfort and you get to the other side of it and you train your body to that it's safe, right? To kind of sit with this discomfort and this edge. This is a really safe way to kind of like work with that. And also, there's a number of different breath work techniques that can help with nervous system capacity and strengthening too. And I like to use, I'm not affiliated with this at all, but I love to use the Open app for different guided meditations and different breathing exercises. And I'll also include a link for that too. I've shared about this before just because I love it so much. But if you sign up, you get 30 days for free. And I also will get 30 days for free. So I guess I am kind of affiliated with it, but there's no risk. And if you get someone to sign up, you'll get another 30 days for free. So, and they have so many different meditations, different breath works, and also they have some movement classes too. And movement is another way to work with things now. I shared about yin yoga and Qi Gong. Dance is also a really good one and an easy one to kind of, I feel like, work into things. It's not like, oh, I have to like go to a yoga class. I have to put on a Qi Gong video. It's just like, oh, I just have to put on a song while I'm cleaning the kitchen and doing the dishes. And that will like move my body and kind of like be in a more playful place. Because play is another thing, and having fun is another thing that I'm really, really calling in and trying to remember to do, right? And I feel like summer is the perfect time to do this and to remember this. And so as I'm like going through all my to-dos and all these things, I'm like, wait, like I should be having fun. I can be having fun doing all of this, right? Instead of just like being more of a taskmaster and like getting through the to-do list. I feel like, I mean, what is life except for like enjoying each thing as you're doing it, right? Like, so I'm really trying to, one, enjoy the things that I am doing, and two, look for opportunities to say, yes, let's go to the swimming hole and let's like go for a walk out in nature. You know, even though I am so busy, like let me take a pause and do these other things that will also support me. And then being out in nature, right? Like for me, this is relatively easy since I live in the middle of nature and I have two big dogs that need to be walked multiple times a day. So no matter what, I'm going outside every day. And so I feel like the more time you can spend in nature, the less time you can spend on your phone and on electronics. It's just, I mean, it's better. And I'm not always good at this either. But it just feels like more and more like the impact of social media, the impact of electronics, that the impact it's having on us as a society and a culture is just like, well, like I get the benefits of it, right? Like there's so many benefits, but it's also, we're not built to consume as much information as coming at us, right? Like there's so much noise, and it's just like our brains are not built to process as quickly as like scrolling happens or like different news headlines come through. Like you can't really process it, you can't absorb it, because then the next thing is coming and the next thing is coming, and it just like makes things a little wild in the head. So counteracting that and being in nature and being more in the rhythm of nature has really helped me with like calming myself and self-regulating, right, and bringing things down to the earth, which is always a great practice. Feet on the earth, bare feet on the earth. I love to lay on the earth. But yeah, just being outside and walking or hiking is very helpful at this time of the year, even though it's so hot, right? Like, so going early in the morning or later in the evening, since we have so much light and such longer days, I feel like there's more of an opportunity to play with those two ends of it. Yeah, there's like so much more that I could say about this and share about this, but I feel like the main message is to slow down and find ways to slow down. I mean, you could just turn off the phone, don't even take a book or take a book, just go outside and sit and breathe for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, but don't like set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for success, right? Like, say you're just going to do it for a few minutes, and then when it feels good and you keep going, that's a bonus, right? Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to do 30 minutes outside, and then you don't have time to do it, so you don't do it, right? So I like to set myself up for success and be like, oh, I'll just do it for a couple minutes. And then more often than not, it feels good, so you just keep going. And that's kind of what has worked for me. Can you hear the birds? The birds are going crazy out on the porch. Okay, so let's now talk about some of the plants that are here to help us too. So there's so many plants out there now, and there's a really super easy way to work with them at this time. And so I just want to share that you can work with whatever plant is calling you. And there are certain plants that have a cooling energetic. Plants have different kind of constitutions, just like people have different constitutions, right? And so this is why if you have a cough or a respiratory something, there's like 12 to 20, I don't know, like a million different plants that are kind of indicated for coughs. But is it a dry cough? Is it a wet cough? Like, you need to look at kind of digging down into these different variables to find the herb that will energetically match the symptom, as well as like what the herb is bringing to the table. So there are many, many cooling herbs that are available out there in the world right now. There's lemon balm, which is like so beautiful, and like it's in the mint family. So anything in the mint family is like popping off right now, right? So spearmint, peppermint, and lemon balm is part of that family too. These are all great plants to work with, very cooling during this time. Rose is also a cooling plant, cooling and soothing and really gentle. There's still some roses, wild roses here around me that are available. Let's see, yarrow is just starting to come. This is another cooling friend. I'm looking at my list. Lavender is like going wild this year. I'm about to go out this morning and make a lavender hydrosol, a summer solstice lavender hydrosol. So good. So lavender is a great one to work with and very seasonal. Chamomile is coming. If you planted your garden on time, chamomile is already here. I'm always a little bit behind on that kind of thing. Mugwort, always, always, always a good friend. Hibiscus, I use hibiscus dried. And yeah, so if you can't get any of these plants fresh, depending on where you are, you can always buy them dried and work with them that way too. And then there's also red clover, and I will add lemon verbena as another one that is available this time of year. And so what can you do with these plants? The simplest thing, you can make a tea. If you have dried herbs, you can make a warm tea. With these plants that I'm sharing about, and mint in particular, a lot of these cooling plants that we're talking about have a higher degree or a higher quantity of volatile oils. So they're not going to be the best to make an overnight infusion, a warm infusion. Like, I don't know if you saw the spring equinox class, but I shared about like the best thing I learned as an herbalist is how to make herbal infusions with 1 ounce of dried plant material, 32 ounces of hot water, let it sit for like 8 to 24 hours, strain it and drink it. And when you're using hot water with that dried plant material, you don't want the plants to be very aromatic. It just doesn't serve the purposes of that protocol or that technique. But what you can do is a cold infusion with these plants. And if you wanted to make it even more special, you can put it outside under the moonlight, which is what I did last night. So I just went around in my garden and I gathered whatever plants were calling to me. So there's some valerian in here, there's a little bit of rose, there's yarrow, there's some chamomile, and I also put in some motherwort and some mugwort. There was a hyssop that was starting to come. So just kind of gather what's available and then put it in a jar of water and let it sit. You could do it during the day and just kind of set it up in the morning, and then you can strain it after a little while, but usually I don't strain it. I just drink it with the plants in it, but that might be annoying to some people. So feel free to strain it, but just kind of let it sit. You can do a sun solar infusion or a moon lunar infusion. And then you're getting the energetics of that body, either the moon, which is more cooling, obviously, than the sun, which is why it's nice this time of year to do a lunar infusion. So I just set it out last night around 9:30 before I went to bed. I put it in the garden, and then this morning when I got up and walked the dogs, I took it in. And then you can drink it, and you'll get like some of the properties of the plants. It's a very gentle, subtle way to work with it. But then you can also use it as an opportunity to kind of develop your relationship with the plants and your intuition by asking which plants are available to be in your infusion, right? So it can kind of like just kind of approach the plant and say in your mind, or you can say out loud, right? Oh, are you available? Would you like to be in my lunar infusion? Or you can find your own language and how you want to talk to the plants. But always ask for permission, always give gratitude and offerings. Don't take everything that's there, all of those good things. Yeah, and then you can just sip on it all day and get hydrated, which is another good thing to work with this time of year. And again, like just take in the energy of all those plants. You could also just make a regular old tea, right? If you have dried mint. Or we also make tea in our house with fresh mint and hot water. Like it's nice to put it up before dinner. So put the mint, fresh mint in a pot, pour hot water over it, and let it steep while you're eating dinner. And then after dinner, you have like a nice mint tea, which will also help with digestion. Or you can just make a dried tea herb blend, right, and let that steep and drink. This is really good. So highly recommend trying this out. It's like a really fun and easy way to work with the plants. And another way that I will offer is to do an oxymel. I made a whole video on this that I'll include, but this is basically taking all the fresh flowers that are around right now and infusing them with vinegar and honey. I'll include that other video too. So that these are just like easy ways. Like I said, it's time to slow down. So let's not like put too many like, oh, I want to try to do this. Like obviously try to do whatever you want. But I'm trying not to like add more to what is probably already a busy list. I just find this is like a very easy, simple way to kind of get with the plants that are in season and available to us right now. And then finally, I wanted to share some of the Cosmic Mother offerings that are particularly potent or nice to work with during this season. So I have a flower essence that's called Summer Solstice. I made this on the solstice last year, and it captures kind of the energy of the solstice, and it has all the flowers that were blooming at that time, some different leaves and plants that were around too. Um, and so it's like an environmental essence, but it does also have the flowers in it too. And what this essence is good for, you can't really see it because of the light, but what this essence is good for is allowing you to welcome in and hold more light, kind of like all of the energetic things that we were talking about earlier, and how you can kind of work to strengthen your nervous system. This plant and the flowers in here and this essence in particular help you with that too, right? So again, a flower essence is a homeopathic vibrational remedy that kind of captures in water the frequency of the plants or the environment at a particular moment in time. And then when you consume it, you can either take it internally or topically. There's so many different ways that you can work with a flower essence. It will help attune your nervous system to that frequency. I mean, they're little miracles in bottles. The flowers are going to save us all. Mark my words. So this is a great one to work with now. And then I also have a tincture that I love at this time of year. It's called Shine Your Light. So this is for helping increase kind of your confidence and your ability to like bring it out into the world, right? To like make yourself more visible when you're ready to show up in a bigger way. The plant allies in here are specifically suited to help you shine your light. I love this one. And then I have a seasonal special. It's a lilac pomade, a whipped lilac pomade. And so during the spring, when the lilac tree was in bloom, every few days I would gather the blooms and place them in a tray of hard oil, right? So I melted down coconut oil and cocoa butter and mango butter in a flat tray, and then I picked lilac blooms and spread them across the tray, right? And then put some weight on it, covered it up, and let it sit for a couple of days. And then when those blooms wilted and the oil infused with the scent of the lilacs, then you kind of take off all of the blooms and put in a fresh batch. And then you continue this process like the whole time that the tree is blooming, which isn't actually that long, but for a couple of weeks, maybe it was like 2.5 or 3 weeks. I did it maybe 5 or 6 different times. Remove the blooms, put more on. And the lilac scent is very subtle, but there's no essential oils. Like there's no way to really capture the lilac scent except for doing this process. So this is available now, and it's just like really, really special. And then last but never least, our hydrosols are the best for the summer. And also summertime is when I'm making more and more hydrosols as the plants are coming alive and blooming. And so I have sage, I have catnip, I have mugwort, witch hazel, and a little bit of juniper. Today I'm making lavender. I made a lemon balm. So I will do my best to get those all up and available on the website. And really any of them will do. And I just always have a hydrosol on me, and I'm just spritzing. Oh, this is sage. So good. Just spritzing all day long. Like I use it as part of my toner 100% in my skincare. But if you keep this in the fridge and then come inside, do a little spritz, like it's so good because it's cooling because you had it in the fridge, but also you're getting like the benefits of the water soluble properties of the plant that was distilled in the hydrosol. Oh my gosh. So I highly, highly recommend hydrosols all day long. Catnip is another friend in the mint family, which is going to be cooling, and it has the opposite effect on us as it does on cats. So for humans, catnip is calming and relaxing instead of like making us a little bit out of our minds if we're cats. So that's what I would recommend. I hope that this video served you. It's a little different than our usual plant love newsletter. Um, but it just felt like I wanted to talk about solstice on this really special day and this special time, especially since for me personally, I've been having a lot of challenges with the energy of this season. And so putting this together has actually supported me as well, kind of reminding me all the things that I can be working with and leaning into this time of year too. So I hope that it served you as well. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I would love to hear from you, and feel free to share this with anyone you think might benefit from it. Have a beautiful summer. I love you.